This is T West. Welcome to AfriSynergy, news and information on Africa and the African diaspora. Hamas sacrifices civilians as a military tactic. Dershowitz then goes on to say, as Richard Kemp, the former commander of British forces in Afghanistan, has said, the Israeli army does more to safeguard civilians than any army in the history of warfare. Well, he's an avid liar, because the Israeli Defense Force has been complicit in stealing the organs of Palestinian youth that they kill. They steal the corneas and then sew up the eyes so that the eyes don't come open, or the family don't open the eyes of their children, the loved ones that the Israelis have killed. He's a doggone liar. Then he goes on to say, this includes dropping leaflets, making phone calls, and providing other warnings to civilian residents of Gaza City. Well, did they provide these types of warnings to the 1,400 Palestinians killed in 2006 under what Israelis dubbed Operation Cast Lead, most of them being women and children? What about the leaflets about that, huh? Dershowitz then says, but Hamas refuses to provide shelter for its civilians, deliberately exposing them to the risk associated with warfare, while it shelters its own fighters in underground bunkers. Now I want you to look at the size of this crater in the earth from a bomb dropped by the Israeli regime. Now, how many bomb shelters are going to protect you from constant bombings like this? Dershowitz is talking crazy, but he thinks that because his people control so much in America, as Ariel Sharon once said, the Jews control America. Well, now listen, we're not going to subscribe to your lies, though. Now, I know that Alan Dershowitz would prefer that Hamas soldiers and fighters come out into the open field so that the Israeli planes, funded by American dollars, can drop bombs and use white phosphor, or what we used to call during the Vietnam War, Willie Pete, on them. An illegal war crime substance that the Israeli regime used in 2006 in Gaza. You know, Dershowitz is an attorney, and most of them are notorious liars. He goes on to say the Hamas tactic is also designed to prevent Israel from making peace with the Palestinian Authority. Even Israeli doves are concerned that if Israel ends its occupation of the West Bank, Hamas may take over that territory, as it took over Gaza shortly after Israel ended its occupation of that area. Now, the West Bank is much closer to Israel's major population centers than Gaza. If Hamas were to fire rockets from the West Bank at Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, Israel would then have to respond militarily, as it has in Gaza. Once again, civilians would be killed, thus provoking international outcry against Israel. Now, let's get the story right about Hamas. The Israeli regime was greatly responsible for the creation and funding of Hamas. The thinking was that if they create Hamas, that would be a counterbalance against the Palestinian Liberation Organization, which was then headed up by Yasser Arafat. This is a fact of history. Dershowitz then states, what we are seeing in Gaza today is a replay of what happened in 2008 and 2009 when Israel went into Gaza to stop the rocket fire. The result was the Goldstone Report, which put the blame squarely on Israel. Well, Dershowitz is not being truthful here. The Goldstone Report put the blame on both the Israeli regime and Hamas in Gaza. This man is a liar and a distorter of the truth. He goes on to say, this benighted report, condemned by most thoughtful people, and eventually even critiqued by Goldstone himself, has encouraged Hamas to go back to the tactic that resulted in international condemnation of Israel. Well, so far a bunch of suppositions and hot air. This tactic will persist as long as the international community and the media persist in blaming Israel for civilian deaths caused by a deliberate Hamas tactic. Now, when he says benighted, talking about the Goldstone report, he is indicating that we got the Goldstone report thrown out where the United Nations did not recognize it, and of course the President of the United States did not recognize it, talking about Barack Obama. Now I'm going to end this with the nonsense from the two rabid Zionists, Hillary Clinton and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Are doing everything in their power to maximize the number of civilian casualties. Obviously, no country can tolerate a wanton attack on its civilians. Now, if there's a possibility of achieving a long-term solution to this problem through diplomatic means, we prefer that. But if not, I'm sure you understand that Israel will have to take whatever action is necessary to defend its people. This is something that I don't have to explain to Americans. I know that President Obama, you and the American people understand that perfectly well. And I thank you once again for your support. Welcome to Jerusalem.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I look forward to a productive discussion this evening at such a critical moment for Israel and the region. President Obama asked me to come to Israel with a very clear message. America's commitment to Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering. That is why we believe it is essential to de-escalate the situation in Gaza. The rocket attacks from terrorist organizations inside Gaza on Israeli cities and towns must end, and a broader calm restored. The goal must be a durable outcome that promotes regional stability and advances the security and legitimate aspirations of Israelis and Palestinians alike. President Obama has emphasized these same points in his multiple conversations with President Morsi of Egypt, and we appreciate President Morsi's personal leadership and Egypt's efforts thus far. As a regional leader and neighbor, Egypt has the opportunity and responsibility to continue playing a crucial and constructive role in this process. I will carry this message to Cairo tomorrow. I will also be consulting with President Abbas in Ramallah. Let me also say, to echo the Prime Minister, I am very pleased that the Iron Dome defense system is performing so well. Our partnership in support of this system represents America's enduring commitment to the safety and security of the Israeli people and to Israel's right to defend itself. But no defense is perfect, and our hearts break for the loss of every civilian, Israeli and Palestinian, and for all those who have been wounded or who are living in fear and danger. I know today was a difficult day, and I offer my deepest condolences to the loved ones of those who were lost and injured. In the end, there is no substitute for security and for a just and lasting peace, and the current crisis certainly focuses us on the urgency of this broader goal. So in the days ahead, the United States will work with our partners here in Israel and across the region toward an outcome that bolsters security for the people of Israel, improves conditions for the people of Gaza, and moves toward a comprehensive peace for all people of the region. And I thank you, Prime Minister, for your hospitality and look forward to our discussion.
Thank you.
So there it is. This is what Alan Dershowitz had to say. This is T. West with AfriSynergy.
Washington.